All right, all right. Here we are. Here we are. Tap into real estate with Tapan Trivedi, episode 1, part 3. My name is John Robert Quinn, the guy who builds talk shows coast to coast, also known as the Cold Call King.
Cold Call King it is.
I'm the Cold Call King. And we're hanging out here with Mr. Tapan Trivedi. The show's all about him. He's a local stand-up comedian, real estate investor, entrepreneur, and it's so funny because you bring a comedic twist to real estate, which is not seen in this community. It's not.
Yeah, no, I like having fun. Yeah. And I just want to kind of throw it out there that, I'm going to call you guys best ever listeners. You are my best listeners, and thank you so much for listening to this. And I'm going to keep on calling you guys that. Best ever listeners.
Best listeners. All right, so real estate investing. How do people go about finding money?
It's an interesting topic. First of all, the two things that you have to remember is that money is all around you. If you live with a scarcity mindset, you will always think that you don't have it. But how many of you have actually gone ahead and created a deal and shown it to somebody that you think you have money? Like, I have had students come over and over tell me that, you know what, man, I didn't know that this guy can have this much money. Is one of the things that we teach is upping the ante when you're talking to them. But you need to know how to create the investments first. When you are able to talk to them intelligently about return on investment, because most people will invest for one of the two things, right? And you have to make sure that you security first, return off their investment, and then return on their investment.
Do you mind if I throw in my philosophy on what money is?
Sure.
So I ask a lot of people, what is money? Money is literally nothing more than value, okay? So before we had paper money, before there was currency, before there was even really, the gold standard and all those things, people were trading tea for grain or whatever, right?
Yeah, there was always a barter
system. Correct.
Yeah.
So eventually what happened is we created a currency to trade something of value for something else that we need. It's the same thing. So value is really what determines what something is worth. So let's say that you're looking for $100, okay? Let's start with $1 first. How hard would it be for you to get $1 out of somebody, right? If you can walk up to somebody and say, hey, do you have $1? And they might give you $1 because it may make them feel good. Now, you go to somebody else who has, let's say, $100. You say, hey, do you have $100? Well, your mom and dad love you. Your mom and dad will probably give you $100 because it makes them feel good.
Right.
But who's going to give you $1 million if you ask for $1 million? Maybe a charity because it makes them feel good.
Perhaps, yeah.
Right? So it really comes down to what value you're giving that person on the other end. If you aren't providing them with anything that they need, then
right.
So how are they going to give you anything that you need?
I mean, let's say you had $1 million to invest, right? Let's just run with your analogy.
Okay.
If you had $1 million to invest, and right now you were making 3 to 4% because you have invested in stocks and bonds, and if a real estate investor came and said, you know what, if you put your money in this particular project, which is an apartment complex or a commercial property or whatever that is, and we will give you 12% at the end of that, when the project comes out annually, would that be of interest to you?
Because 4
times what you're making.
Here's the other thing. Here's the thing that people also need to really think about is their money is tied up in the stock market or something at 3% or 4%, or it's in a bond or something, right? And they're making 3 or 4%. But what is the risk that they're going to lose that money?
Right, and it's tremendous. I mean, somebody could literally fat finger on the keyboard, and the market lost. How much was it that one day that
1,100 points.
Yeah, 1,100 points.
People lost billions.
Yeah,
billions of dollars in one day.
Here's the thing: the only thing the only caveat is that if you're taking money from more than a single person and putting it together, you have to be very aware of the fact that you are actually creating a security. So you have to do a filing with the Security and Exchange Commission, and then we highly, highly suggest that do not do it without getting
This is
SEC lore
where
involved.
this is where training comes in.
This is
Right?
where training comes in because people, and the SEC head of California has been known to say that occasionally on weekends I go on Craigslist with my first cup of coffee and try to find out who's violating the SEC regulations. He has gone openly and said that, because you need to be aware. It's not just real estate. You are actually creating a security. So at that point,
Well, you've got to protect that people's money.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's all legal documents. And here's the other piece. There's another caveat. God, it's a word we're using a lot these days. Here's another caveat to all of that. Our team, our group, our community, our family here, we have all those people to do all those different things. Me personally, I don't want any part of the deal. What do? I facilitate. I bring people together.
Right,
That's
and that's
literally, that's how I get paid.
As long as you go ahead and make sure that people are protected and that they are aware of all the risk, you can raise money. People have money. And once you start creating deals, you will realize that you are in the driving seat. They need your deal much more than you need their money. I mean, that is the single biggest mind shift that I will have all my students do. I actually take them through exercises where I send them to lunch to 5 different places, on the last day of the training, and they will go ahead and come back saying, oh my God, my mind has been blown wide open because I had one student just last weekend come back and say, hey man, I talked to 10 people about the initial meeting that we do, and 6 of them said yes.
60%.
60% rate of success. And she said she talked to them as to how much they had, and she came back with about $480,000 available to them. And this is over one lunch period.
But here's the other thing, though, is where is this money? This money is in 401ks. It's in annuities. Where else is this money? Equity in their homes.
Equity in their homes. They have self-directed IRAs. They have IRAs that they haven't self-directed. That's a huge untapped potential. Mm-hmm. They also have a lot of times just money sitting on the sidelines, mm-hmm. and because they are afraid to go into that, right? Mm-hmm. So if you know how to talk to them and make those conversations, then you will succeed. I mean, I can almost always guarantee that any person that has more than 25 people in their favorites list on their phone, they have at least $1 to $2 million in their immediate neighborhood in California.
Absolutely.
California.
How do people go about finding properties?
That, like everything else, you got to look for the deal, right? I mean, you always are looking for deals. You're always looking for dollars. So you got to look for the deals. And there's 100 different ways. I'm exaggerating, but
there's probably 100,000 different ways.
In the training, we show you what are various ways of looking for deals. About 4 years back, foreclosures and REOs, when the banks took the houses back, that was a realistic.
Yeah, but that's what everybody else is doing.
Everybody else is doing. So you can look for probate, talk to probate people.
There's so many ways of finding properties. Yeah. I mean, one of the easiest ways, and I love this. I think Frank Verney was the one who brought this up. Drive down the street, wait for the guy mowing his lawn, and just ask him, hey, wasn't there a house on this block that the people moved out of that's just kind of all run down? And the guy will tell you exactly where it is.
It's something we call driving for dollars. We drive for dollars. We try to find the worst house in a really good neighborhood, and then you go ahead and put them on your mailing list of drip, and you try to go ahead and see if they will sell you the house. You have to ask, right?
Correct.
And it's a win-win situation a lot of times for both of you.
Squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Squeaky wheel gets the oil, but you don't have to be squeaky. A lot of times they're just you're trying to match the timing. That's all. It's a numbers game, and we teach you how to go ahead and get that wide net out so that you go ahead and get the kind of deals that you're looking for.
How do people go about getting properly trained?
REIASacramento.com, REIA Sacramento.com, and then go to our training or call me at 916-613-1921. Once again, it's 916-613-1921, and we'll set you up.
REIA Sacramento. That's Real Estate Investor
Association.
Real Estate Investor Association. REIA Sacramento.com. 916-613-1921. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back and wrap up. We'll be right back.